Good afternoon, teenagers. This is Mr. Williams, and this is a video for 5th and 6th periods on October 1st, 2019. You should already have out your materials to take notes with, and if you don't, your sub will pause this video while you get arranged. Your cell phones should all be put away. If your sub sees any of you with cell phones out, I'm going to ask the sub to make a note of who you are so I can handle that when I get back according to my cell phone policy. You have been warned. You should be paying attention today and working together. The sub is also going to be checking that you're in your assigned seats. All right, so hopefully you all have your materials and you're ready to go now. I'm going to do a fairly brief video. This is a practice kind of based on what we did yesterday. So you're going to be sketching PVT, VVT, and AVT graphs for the motions that are described here, and I wrote these out for you. So let's look at what it says. Sally starts in front of the origin running forward. Oh, some of you are going to ask if you have to copy the words down. The video is on my YouTube channel, so you do not have to copy this down. I want you to pay attention and take notes about what I'm doing. If you want to see this, you can watch the video on YouTube. So you do not have to copy this one down. Sally starts in front of the origin and she's running forward. Initially, she runs at a constant velocity, but after a while, she starts to slow down. She stops and rests a while, then she turns around and speeds up in the backwards direction until she has a greater speed than earlier. Remember, speed does not have direction associated with it. Speed is how fast you're going, but it doesn't tell you if you're going forward or backwards. So we need to sketch the PVT, VVT, and AVT graphs for this motion. It means we don't have to plot it. That's good. We just have to sketch. So Sally is going to start in front of the origin, so Sally's going to start in a positive place, and she's going to run forward. Initially, she's going to run at a constant velocity. So constant velocity is going to look like this, but then she's going to slow down to a stop. Then she's going to stop and rest for a while. Then she's going to turn around and speed up in the backwards direction so she's going to speed up in the backwards direction until she has a greater speed than she had initially. So her speed initially looked like this. So the same speed would look like this, but this is going to be steeper, so her speed is going to look like this. I'm having a hard time drawing. Like always, drawing is hard for me. So that's the PVT sketch. The velocity versus, you shouldn't have too much trouble with this. These little sketch pieces are from your notes from before. So this is constant velocity, this is slowing down, this is 0, this is speeding up going backwards, and this is constant velocity going backwards. This is constant velocity going forwards. So initially, she has a constant positive velocity. That's this first section. Then she slows down to 0. Then she stops for a while. Then she speeds up going backwards. So she has a negative velocity that speeds up. Then she moves at a constant negative velocity for a while. So that's her velocity versus time graph, or sketch. Now, her acceleration versus time graph. Oh, that's interesting. her acceleration versus time graph is going to be 0 because we have no slope here. And it's going to be negative because we have a negative slope here. Then it's going to be 0 because we have 0 slope here. Negative. But it says, negative, and then 0. Okay, let's try another one. It took me longer to write this than it did for me to sketch it. Let's try another one. George starts behind the origin at rest. He begins speeding up, running backwards until he reaches his maximum speed. Suddenly, he sees a terrible lion running towards him. He accelerates in the positive direction until he reaches his maximum speed. That is a tricky sentence right there. So he was going in the negative direction. And he even sped up in the negative direction. But here he accelerates in the positive direction. So that's going to be a bit tricky. Let's do this one. P versus T. V versus T. And A versus T. So George starts behind the origin at rest. So he's not running anywhere. He's just standing there. Good old George. And I'll let him stay at rest. So he's at rest for a little while. Then he speeds up running backwards. So he speeds up running backwards, which is like this, until he reaches his maximum speed, which is like this. We've got a little curve there. I always have trouble with these curved things. So this is a straight line, and this is a curve. There we go. Oh, Lord. There we go. That's better. Okay, he starts in the origin at rest. He speeds up running backwards. He reaches his maximum speed. He sees a terrible lion running towards him, and he accelerates in the positive direction. So that means he's going to accelerate in the opposite direction of his motion. And if you accelerate in the opposite direction of the direction you're going to slow down. So he's going to slow down to a stop, turn around, speed back up until he reaches his maximum speed, going in the positive direction. And that's what George does. I hope he got away from the lion. Oh my goodness. I got so busy drawing my picture, I'm not sure you could see it. So let me go over it again. I might have slipped off of the screen. Here's George. He starts behind the origin at rest. He speeds up running backwards until he reaches his maximum speed. It's a negative. He has negative velocity, but it's his maximum speed. He sees a terrible lion running towards him. He accelerates in the positive direction, although he's running in the negative direction. So he slows down until he gets to 0 speed, 0 velocity. And then he starts speeding up in the positive direction because he accelerates in the positive direction until he reaches his maximum speed. This is his maximum speed here, so that is about the same angle. That must be his maximum speed. But now he's got a maximum speed in the positive direction. Here he had a maximum speed in the negative direction. So that's his position versus time graph. Now we're going to sketch our velocity versus time. Well, his velocity versus time here is 0 because he was at rest. And then he's beginning to speed up in the negative direction. Then he has a constant speed in the negative direction. Then he slows down in the negative direction, and then he speeds up in the positive direction. and then he reaches a constant speed in the positive direction. Folks, this place right here is this place right here. The place where George turns around from going negative to going positive, that's the place where his velocity versus time graph crosses the x-axis. Because here he is running backwards fast as he could, and then he slows down while going backwards, turns around, and begins speeding up in the other direction. This is the turnaround spot. Turn around. Turn around, bright eyes. Anyhow, whatever. I can't help it randomly singing for no reason. So turn around. That's where he turns around. And I can't spell because spelling is hard and words are hard. All right, so let's do this now. Acceleration. Acceleration is the slope of this one, and this has no slope, so that first section, there's no acceleration. And here, your slope is negative, so you have a negative acceleration. And then you have a positive, oh, sorry, it's 0 here. Forgot, we went back up to 0. And then we have positive for a while, a pretty long while, because right here is where you turn around. So right here is where you turned around. You had positive acceleration the whole time. That's why you were turning around and then speeding up in the positive direction. And then you don't have any acceleration here. I hope that this review has been useful for you. And you can always watch this video on my YouTube channel if you need some extra review or need to think about this some more or just want to watch it more slowly. Now I'm going to give you some things to do for the rest of the period. So this is not a very long video. I'm just looking at the time and it looks like this is only like a 12-15 minute video. So I'm going to give you about 30 minutes worth of work to do in class today. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. This will be your assignment. By the way, yesterday I gave you an assignment. You had to draw 3 graphs from the words I put on the board. I'm sorry, 6 graphs from the words I put on the board. I will be checking those 6 graphs tomorrow, and then I will also be checking this assignment tomorrow. So you'll have 2 assignments due tomorrow. One of them is 6 graphs from yesterday, and then there's this assignment. So here's the assignment for today. Use your imagination. And write a short story or a short description, not story, let's say short description for the following graphs you must write a description. No, you must you must write one description, not one. focused on velocity, VELOCITY, and one focused on acceleration for each graph. So let me show you the graphs. These graphs do not describe the same motion. So that's the first graph. You have to say in words, you have to make a description that talks about this motion in terms of acceleration, and a description that talks about this motion in terms of velocity. And then there's this one. By the way, before I do it, you guys might be asking me, what is a description, Mr. Williams? Come on, folks. This is a description. And I've now given you like 8 of these things that I made up. And here's another one. You have to come up with a description. A person's name, what direction they're running, if they're speeding up or slowing down, what they do first, what they do second, what they do third. That's what you have to come up with. And you have to make, for this one right here, you have to make 2 descriptions. One description for velocity and one for acceleration, which I misspelled acceleration, but whatever. So you have to make 2 descriptions for this, a velocity one and an acceleration one, and then 2 descriptions for this, a velocity one and an acceleration one. So let's see. This is supposed to be a straight line. And of course, I can't draw straight lines. There, that looks pretty straight. Whatever. Oh my God. Drawing pictures is such a trial. Okay. So this is your homework assignment. You have 30 minutes in class to do it. If I come back and you haven't done anything, I will give you a big old fat 0 on a big assignment. So you have to try. You don't have to be perfect, but you just have to try. So what I expect from you tomorrow is 4 paragraphs. A paragraph that describes this in terms of velocity, a paragraph that describes this in terms of acceleration, a paragraph that describes this in terms of velocity, and a paragraph that describes this in terms of acceleration. Please work quietly, get it all done, and please, 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 when I come in tomorrow, have all the work finished so I can give you lots of points so you can have a really good grade. I really, really don't want you to have bad grades, so please do this work. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.